tell you a story about my fasting experience. One of the major fasting experiences it gave me was a spiritual fast, but it was also a health fast at the same time. So this dates back in 2021. And before I can tell you exclusively about fasting and the results that I got, I want to tell you what led me to that point. So back in 2020, yes, it was at the height of COVID. Closures are happening everywhere. Nobody knows what to do with this thing. I was homeschooling. Well, really not technically homeschooling. I wasn't the one teaching her, but she was doing school from home. And then I had 2 toddlers in the house. And I was doing both a master's program. I was in my last semester of my last master's program. And I was also doing what we call a DVD. What is it? It's basically a didactic program for dietitians so that you can get what they call a statement from that school to certify that you completed all your education towards that degree and you're ready for your internship. So I was in the middle of doing all that. I was doing a total of 18 credit hours, 12 masters and six one or the other. I don't remember very well. One of the schools was 12 credits and the other one was 6 credits. It was a total of 18 credits. And it was really a difficult time. And then in the middle of all that shenanigans, I found myself getting divorced. It's not a word divorce. I was being separated from somebody I really wanted them to love me. It was different. He's a good guy, but it's just not meant to be. But that's not the point of it. But then I want to tell you what happened after that message came. It was one Saturday morning. I was sleeping, and then I wake up to a message that let's get a divorce. And I did not respond immediately, but I cried the entire day. That time I was almost 45 pounds. I was almost 45 pounds above my desired weight. I'm short. So those who have just seen me on camera and have never seen me standing, I'm really short. I'm 4'11", and somebody used to tease me up and tell me that I am actually over the 7 height. Now that's a story for another day. But today I cried the entire day, and up to this point, my life was characterized by complete fear and people pleasing and just walking on eggshells on every aspect of my life. I didn't know what I was doing. I apologize if the lighting is extremely bad. I'm driving and the sun is facing on my side, so just bear with me. And when that happened, I found myself shocked. But I am thankful because the outcome of that, I'm not thankful that that happened, but I'm thankful of the outcome. Because after I cried for almost the entire day, I sat down with myself and I was like, okay, what is there to lose at this point? I've lost what I was afraid of losing most at this point. It's gone. I can bring it back because one of the things I don't do is I don't force things to happen. At least I try sometimes. I tried, but when I get the clear indication that this is not going anywhere, and especially when it involves a human being that is adult and I do not have a responsibility over, I don't want to force it. Relationship is not something that I have a history of forcing to happen. At least not aggressively. So I asked myself, that time I had struggled with weight. At that point I was struggling with PCOS. I had facial hair everywhere. I was really overweight, and it was a painful period. I wasn't sleeping well, and also considering that I was just doing a lot of things at the same time. I was taking care of 3 kids, all under the age of 10, and one is doing school from home. I'm doing 18 credits. I am away from my family. I'm all by myself. I was blessed technically to have a good community around me, but sometimes people can take the pain that goes inside my head. Alleviating some of the things made the experience a little bit better. So I asked myself this question: what is it that I can lose? I can't lose anymore. So I knew I needed to change something. One of the things that I knew as a dietitian, at that time I wasn't really a registered dietitian, but I was a registered nutritionist back in Kenya years back. I was a fully nutrition professional, so that's not to mince with. But then at this point I have a lot of training. I didn't even know what to do with that training and help my own self at that point. But I was like, I need to lose the weight. That's where I need to begin, because it was making my life way hard for how I was experiencing it. And I started looking for somebody to help me, because I didn't know what I was doing. Even as a nutrition professional, I didn't know what I was doing. And that's the first time I started doing something to me, to invest in myself. I registered for a course by another counselor pastor based in Atlanta. It was a 10-week kind of a mentoring where we met on Saturdays for 1 hour, and it started opening my eyes. And after that, I booked a counseling session with him, and I told him what I do. We consult, I grew, and then he asked me one question: why are you not monetizing your nutrition, whatever? At that time, he didn't know I was struggling to even lose my own weight. But then I got an idea. He recommended a nutrition coach that I can emulate and see. But then I went ahead and registered for this nutrition coach, weight loss coach programs. One, I wanted to see how she packages resources, but I also wanted to lose my own weight. So I went, I paid a ton of money, over $5,000, to be able to sit under this lady, to be able to gain the knowledge and also gain the transformation that I wanted. And I was doing well. So I had tried other things before I met this guy. So I tried other things, but it wasn't working. So when I met this lady, I started implementing, and she opened up my eyes on how to use all the nutrition education that I had. And my eyes basically started opening up. And I started losing weight, but my weight wasn't going. And this is where now we're getting into how fasting kind of came into play. So now we went through 2020, and then now we are now in 2021. 2021, I start. I'm finishing up my school. I'm graduating from my DPD program, and I'm ready to go for my internship. And my weight was still slow. My progress was extremely slow. And then I go to school. I am following all the dynamics of my new program, and I'm losing weight, but it's on a very slow progress. And when I went for my internship, I had to leave my city to go to a different city to do my internship. I had to leave my kids with a friend. Thank God for friends. I was staying like 2 hours away from the city, at least the first 3 weeks of my internship. So I was driving like 2 hours every morning, 2.5 hours every morning, 2 hours every evening. So I would wake up like 4 a.m. So I'm leaving the house where I was staying around 4:30, and so that I can be able to get to where I'm going for my internship in good time, relax a little bit, and then start my course, the rotations and things that I was doing. And I did that for like 3 weeks, and then I ended up getting a smaller something to rent in the city where the internship was. And I did that, and then Now that pushes me. Now this is August by the time I'm starting my internship, and then in September I got a burden for my family and praying for my family and praying for this is my father's family, my siblings, my dad, my mom, my extended family and all that. And then I called my mom and I shared with her, and then we started praying. That time, because I was far from home and I didn't have a lot of church responsibilities, so I didn't have kids to take to church. So Sunday mornings was a little bit lighter for me when I'm not coming to visit my kids. And we would meet every Sunday morning, because by the time it's Sunday morning here, it's already Sunday evening over there where my mom is. And we started praying, and then around the end of December, around January, we had this conviction. And by this time, my sister joined us in the prayers of every Sunday morning, my morning, and we started fasting. And the fasting was mostly one meal a day, just praying for lifting up heavy burdens and all that. It was basically either one meal a day, and sometimes I would just wake up and I would have a sense, I would sense that I'm being led to just do a water fast or a dry fast. And we prayed, and this is January, we got through February. I think by the time we were kind of toning down, because it was an open-ended fast at that point. We didn't have like, we're gonna finish this time, we're gonna finish in 5 weeks or 2 weeks or 1 week. We just went until where we kind of started feeling like, yeah, we needed to just tone it down. And this was around mid-March. And then by the time we are going in mid-March, my divorce had gone through in February, around February, early February. So that's how my experience. And by the time we are finishing the fast, I wasn't even like intentionally wanting to fast pace my weight loss, but at that point I was already at my ideal weight. A lot of benefits. I was struggling with arthritis on my hands. I had one of my joints really swollen. That had disappeared. I do believe really God heals. I do believe the fast helped, and that's my fast experience with an extended fast that really had both spiritual and physical benefits. So I just wanted to share that story on how a fast for me kind of made. And then after that, I've done several other fasts, extended short ones, water, plant-based fast, what people call the Daniel fast, and I've done quite a few of those. And one of the things that I want to talk about fasting today, and I'm sorry this video is kind of getting long, but just bear with me. You can watch it in pieces if it's too long. One of the things, the reason for me sharing this story, I wanted also to share that fasting, and especially you can combine them both, spiritual and physical fasting, because I do believe we as Christians, we can separate really things that we do. Everything at the end of the day has to be spiritual. So fasting, and recently I read a book by Erin Davis that she talks about fasting and feasting. So she kind of landed to that title before I could do anything with it. So I have to carefully use that title because it's already protected. I believe she has a book called Feasting and Fasting. And if you have a chance to look for it, it's by Erin Davis. It's a really wonderful book. It talks about fasting. It talks about spiritual benefits of fasting. I think it also talks about, and it's a 40-day devotion, which you can do if you want to do like a 40-day fast or something like that. You can do it as a group. You can. It's a really wonderful book. And the reason I'm sharing this is to be able to show you that fasting is one of the ways you can maintain a long-term consistent health and ideal weight. Why? Because when you go back to the old times, people never used to eat all the time. And I don't even believe that our bodies are made to eat all the time. And the reason why I would say that is, even look the way the nights and the seasons are made. You find that there are seasons for planting, seasons for harvesting, seasons for leanness, seasons for plenty. You look at this day, which is a lot of activity, there's potentially a lot, but then God has like 12 hours of no eating, where we call it night. And you have all this seasons that are different, and I do believe God is a God of seasons. So when you're looking at fasting, you're artificially creating the natural rhythms, or you're trying to make them more pronounced. The natural rhythms that God put in motion when He created the world, seasons of plenty, seasons of leanness, or what we can call want. You see, when He's talking about the children of Israel, about how to till the land, He telling them, for 6 days you shall till the land, and on the 7th year you shall give the land rest. I will give you plenty for the year. On the 6th year I will give you plenty for 2 years. So you want to be able not to do any agriculture for the 7th year. You see Him creating the world in 6 days, and He's resting on the 7th day. He's creating two opposites of each other. So when we are living and we are eating all the time, and in scientific terms, it's what we call the GI rest, gastrointestinal rest. So the rest is important for some stubborn fat destruction and elimination. When we are constantly eating, we don't give the body enough time to heal, to heal itself, to create new cells, to destroy the old ones, because it's constantly metabolizing food. So fasting is a good way to create those seasons of plenty and GI rest. Plenty, GI rest. Plenty, GI rest. And that, because at the end of the day, you want to have something that is sustainable long term. You don't want to create an eating pattern that is not going to be sustainable for long term, because that's what we are looking for, sustainability. So fasting is a good way to create sustainability. There are always going to be strongholds to break, whether strongholds around you, or strongholds around people that you care for, or just the nation, or just in the course of evangelism and reaching out to the unreached. So there's always going to be things that we can be praying for that can take us to the throne of God, that might create a need for spiritual fasting. We also, even as we live, we are going to have the need even for that GI rest. So trying to create a fasting pattern. But then again, I will retaliate on something that I said in one of the videos earlier this week, that if you are not having the basic of your nutrition catered for and taken care of, you don't want to get yourself into fasting. Now, the spiritual fasting is a little bit different. You can fast anytime, but if you're doing GI, if you're just doing specifically spiritual fasting, and you don't want to combine it with health, you don't care if it gives you health benefits or not, that's all right. However, why do one when you can do both? So if you're not factored in your basic plate, then you need to take care of that, so that when you're fasting, then you can also gain a lot of benefits. Then I would also want to caution, even if it's spiritual fasting and you're really not eating healthy the rest of the time that you're not fasting, or even depending on the fasting that you're doing, you're really endangering your health. And I don't believe that just because we are Christians and we can do things in a spiritual manner, we are not called to wisdom. We have been called to wisdom. So you want to be able to apply wisdom and be able to take care of your body. It's the temple of the Holy Spirit. So we don't want to encourage irresponsibility. We want to encourage ourselves to be accountable. We want to encourage ourselves to be responsible, and we want to take care of the things that God has given us. And one of the things is our bodies. It's the most important thing to take care of, apart from hearing from God and in a fellowship with God. Anyway, this video has been a little bit long, but I hope you get something from it. I would like to hear your feedback, so comment below and let me know. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful afternoon.